Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Jabed. This video took me a few days to do because I have so many fond memories that I've shared with you, that we've shared together in this community. I could say that I've shared memories with you for probably 40 years. And, you actually were the first man in my life to carry me as a baby. You were the one that did the call to prayer in my ear when I was born. And it's always funny when I explain to non-Muslims that you are not only the man that delivers us and brings us into the world, you're also the man that does our marriage ceremonies. And then you're oftentimes the man that delivers our children. And then on top of that, you became my boss, and you're still my boss because I'll do anything that you tell me to. And I was thinking, what kind of fond memories. I mean, we've done so much things together. I mean, we've taken trips apple picking, taken kids from our community. We've done Eid parties together, and have organized and built a wonderful institution for our community. And all of that is something that is going to be documented forever and ever and ever. And I'm so proud to continue this work with you in our community. And I always try to think back to a story that really illustrates who you are. And you, Dr. Jabed, have been so humble, and you have taught me so much humility in the way that you live and in the way that you show up in the world. And I remember this one time, it was probably like 13 years ago. I was in the Jam'iyyah. It was actually me and Chris Rominger, and we were staying late at the Jam'iyyah, writing a grant together. It was 6:30. Usually, you know how we used to close the Jam'iyyah doors at 6 o'clock, and it was late. Chris was like, it's 6:30. I went out to the waiting area, and I literally wanted to close down the gate. And then all of a sudden I walk into the waiting area. There's a woman sitting there, a Syrian woman there that we knew before. She had been a client of ours. And I was trying to explain to her that, we're closed right now. Can she come back tomorrow? And she handed me a piece of paper that it was a paper from the marshals. And the marshals basically had put on a date that tomorrow they were literally going to put her stuff out in the street and lock her out of her apartment. This was a woman who lost her husband, had two sons who were 12 and 13 years old. Just a woman that has so much devastation in her life. It was like every day something was happening to her, and it was all accumulating over the past few months. SubhanAllah, I'm talking to the lady in the waiting area, and who walks in? Dr. Jabed. He says, Salaam alaikum. We say alaikum salam, and you walk to the back. And I think you continue to overhear the conversation. This woman was crying. So you called me to the back. I went back there. I explained to you what I just heard from this woman. I went back to the waiting area. I got this lady's landlord's number. I went back to you. We went to the back. We called the landlord. And he told us this woman owes this much back rent. And, he really had tried to help her and understood her circumstances, but it was becoming to the point where she really couldn't pay her rent moving forward. And, all the public benefits that we were trying to get her had not yet started. And you just did what Dr. Jabed does. You told the landlord how much is it that she owes, and paid 4 months in advance rent for her moving forward, and told the guy, you're going to be there in 20 minutes. You went over there. The lady stayed with me. You called, said everything's done. The landlord had called the marshals, called off the eviction. I come back to tell this woman, and she was in awe. And you specifically told me, do not tell this woman that it was me. Tell her this was the Jam'iyyah, that we did it together. This is from the community. And that's what I told her. Until this day, she believes that the Jam'iyyah, which of course you are a great part of, is the one that helped this woman to get her life back on track and give her some space to breathe. You, Dr. Jabed, have always taught me humility. You taught me to give everything that I have to others, and that when you are generous, Allah is generous with you. Allah has been so good to me, Dr. Jabed. Allah has given me so many opportunities. Allah has opened so many doors for me. And I want you to know that the reason I am where I am today is because of you. You taught me that when you give to others, Allah is going to give it back to you tenfold. And everything you have told me, Dr. Jabed, over the last specifically 19 years that I have worked with you and have followed your leadership, everything you told me was true. Being kind to others, not waiting for someone to say thank you for when you do good things for them, that's not something we should expect. And if it happens, it's welcomed and embraced, and thanking people is thanking Allah, but we should never be in expectation of people to thank us. I remember how many times, I would come to you and I say, Dr. Jabed, this leader said this and this happened, and why is this? And there's some magic in you, Dr. Jabed, something that you always recentered me. You always reminded me, we don't do this work for these people. We have a mission here. We do this work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have helped me strengthen my faith. I have watched you, Dr. Jabed, move with such conviction and with such passion. You never wanted anything back from this world, but you always, Allah had blessed you in so many ways as well. Our community is so lucky to still have you and to have your brilliance. And there's so many moments that we've spent together, at conferences and having deep conversations with you just about life, about politics, and watching you and how many people in our community revere you and how many people in our community just love you so much. I mean, there isn't a place that I can go across the country and not people say, oh, do you know Dr. Jabed? We know Dr. Jabed. And it just makes me so proud every time I get to tell people that not only do I know you, that you are my father in our community, a father to so many of us, but in particular to me. I owe a lot of the character that I have and the ways in which I have excelled in our community because of you and because of your mentorship and because you believed in me, Dr. Jabed. I remember so many times when you used to, people used to make fun of me. I came to the community, organizing, and I'm talking فلاحي, chief حالكم, chief انتو, شو أخباركم, شو بدكم تساوي, جيبولي في العروة, and all the stuff. And you used to laugh at me all the time, but you kept telling me, don't lose that. Stay proud of who you are and where you came from. And he used to always introduce me, Fallaha. You put me on the mic, Dr. Jabed. You showed me what it looks like to support the leadership of young women in our community. You have always been and set an example on everything. You set an example for Deen. You set example for community organizing, for leadership. You have, in every space that you have been in, you have always been a leader at every single level. And you're hilarious. Like, I cannot remember how many times that I would literally I've laughed sometimes so hard. And sometimes I think back to those days in the office when we would just be all sitting together and talking about just random things. And you telling us these really corny jokes that would be hilarious, like riddles. And you're just such a blessing to have around. And I don't know if you ever really realized how much people want to be in your presence. And Dr. Jabed, one of the best Debke dancers. I'm going to say Debche, but I was trying to be Medani just in case somebody else was also watching this video too. Best Debche dancer that we have. Just being with you at so many actual celebrations in the community has always been a highlight. Just always, us going to the nap banquets together and just doing so much, going to the Salam Club and going to all, finding each other at weddings. And it's just been a true pleasure. I was actually talking to my kids. I was like, look, I'm going to do this video for Dr. Jabed. I want to be able for him to hold, all these memories that we had. There's so many memories from so many people. And my daughter was like, Yama, remember when, Dr. Jabed used to see us in the street, and then even when we were like 8 or 9 or 10 years old, he would pick us up and put us up in the air. And then my daughter started laughing. She goes, I was kind of like a little heavy, and he still was able to pick me up and every time he saw us. And that is exactly who you are, Dr. Jabed. You just loved, the kids loved you. It's like there's just something about you that is something that I hold with me everywhere that I go. When I wrote my book, I wanted to make sure that I paid homage to you, and of course to our beloved Basima Atwa, and just remembering those memories that we had with Basima. I could remember you and Basima having these little arguments and telling each other jokes, and I could remember like Basima used to laugh so much, she used to have like an asthma attack. Like, I used to laugh at how Basima was laughing at jokes that you told her that I didn't in fact find sometimes that funny. And she used to think they were hilarious. And then I used to laugh at Basima's laugh. And so we just got to share so much memories together. And I'm just so blessed to know you, Dr. Jabed. When asking people to share memories of you, like, everybody has hundreds of stories to tell about you, and it's so beautiful. Like, I always laugh every time I'm somewhere, like in the community or whatever, and everybody that's in my age group was delivered by you. And imagine you having a hand in delivering people into the world, you being able to say the adhan in my ear, and for me to know that it was you that brought me into this world is just such a special feeling that I hold with me always. And I always think about my little sister. I don't know if you remember, of course you know this, that my mom has 5 girls in a row. And I love that when my mom had my 5th sister, she was the 5th girl, my mom wasn't in fact that enthusiastic about that, as you know. And I remember when you delivered my sister and you told my mom, like, what are you going to name this girl? And my mom was like, I don't have a name. And you said, okay, so we're going to name her Hella. And Hella means welcome. And you welcomed my 5th baby sister to the world, who I love very much. And you named her Hella. So I want you to know there's a beautiful young mother, young woman who lives in New Orleans, who has 3 kids. And she is named because you named her. And that's who you've been. You've been so intimately involved in a lot of our lives and our family lives. And for me in my work life and so much of the things that I pursued. And a lot of that is because of you, Dr. Javed. And so I want you to know that I make dua for you all the time. You are an incredible human being, and I don't know if we often have taken the time out to say that to you, to say how incredible you are, how remarkable you are, how special you are to us and who we are today. And a lot of these young people that are in my age group that you see that are taking leadership, that are, taking your work to the next level and taking us further in our community, we stand on your shoulders. We would never be able to do this without you, Dr. Javed, without all that you have invested, not only in building brick and mortar in our community and actual organizations and institutions and mosques, but you have built people. You have built people like me. And I hope that you know that I am a living legacy of you. And I hope I am manifesting your commitment to our people, your commitment to our deen and to our community and to generations of Palestinian Americans and generations of Muslim Americans to come. You are amazing, Dr. Javed. And I love you so much. And I want you to know that you are a father figure to me. And you are revered by me. And I always said to myself, when I grow up, I want to be Dr. Javed. I want to give everything that I have to the things that I believe in. I want to be humble. I want to be as compassionate and as kind as Dr. Javed has been with anyone and any person who has ever walked and been in your presence. And so I hope that you feel loved, you feel appreciated, and know that all of us sit with fond memories of you. And inshallah, we're going to keep sharing these memories with you and keep reminding you and loving you just this in the same ways that you have loved us and that you have invested in us. So may Allah bless you, Dr. Javed. Allah yashfiq, Allah yakhalil nayak, ya Rab. Allah yatawil umrak, ya Rab. And inshallah, we will all see you very soon. Assalamu alaikum.